Come take my hand and walk with me. 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 Come walk with me in fields of love. Come walk with me in fields of love. Come walk with me in fields of love. Fields of love. Beyond all right, beyond all wrong, beyond all right, beyond all wrong, beyond all right, beyond all wrong, beyond all right, beyond all wrong. I'll meet you there in fields of love. I'll meet you there in fields of love. In fields of love, I'll meet you there. In fields of love, I'll meet you there. Come take my hand and walk with me. 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 Come walk with me in fields of love. Fields of love. Come walk with me in fields of love. Come walk with me in fields of love. Beyond all rights, beyond all wrong, beyond all rights, beyond all wrong, beyond all right, beyond all wrong, beyond all right, beyond all wrong. I'll meet you there in fields of love. I'll meet you there in fields of love. In fields of love, I'll meet you there. In fields of love, I'll meet you there. The story goes like this. Once there was a poet, warrior, who landed on the shores of what we call Ireland. His name, Aberdeen. Aberdeen. The name means the birth of song. And when Aberdeen set foot on the shore, he was greeted by a goddess. And she said to him, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "Well, you know, I'm a Celt. And Celts who like to conquer. So I'm here to conquer." She said, "Oh, that's too bad. But if you must, I want you to name the land after me." He said, "I will. What's your name?" And she said, "Bonva. My name, Bonva." He said, "All right. Shall be the land of Bonva." And he goes further inland. And who would he happen to meet but a second goddess? And she says to him, "I know what you're up to. My sister has told me. You'll name the land after me. Thank you very much." He said, "All right. What's your name?" And she said, "Fola. Fola is my name, and it will be the land of Fola." He said, "Deal. Shall be Fola." And he goes further inland into the heart of the country, somewhere around Athlone. And there, yes, you guessed it, he meets a third goddess, the third part of the Trinity. Trinities were common in Ireland before Christianity. Most of them were feminine. So the third goddess says to him, not a word, I know what you're here for. Forget all about what my sisters told you. We're going to name this place after me. And my name is Eru. Eru. He just nodded. That was his consent. And from that day until now, the land has been named after her. Eru, in Old Irish, became Era, became Ireland, the land of the goddess Eru. So the song we're going to sing comes out of that story. The poet asks a question. The question is, who am I in the wonder? Who am I in the woe? Who am I in the darkness? Who am I? Let's sing along with sing. Who am I in the wonder? Who am I in the woe? Who am I in the wonder? Who am I in the woe? Who am I in the darkness? Who am I in the light? Who am I in the darkness? Who am I in the light? I am wind upon the sea. I am wind upon the sea. I am the roar of the ocean. I am the roar of the ocean. I am the roar of the ocean. I am the salmon swimming in the river. I am the salmon swimming in the river. The salmon swimming in the river. I am the salmon swimming in the river. I am the eagle soaring in the sky. 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 I am the teardrop of the
Right. There's a little video here, so it's only going to last, well, a whole bunch, maybe 10 minutes of it, just to give us a sense of it. But I'll give you an introduction to it. There are two people being interviewed, both of whom did not want to become Christians because the word Christian has, well, there it is again. The word Christian these days is subject to all kinds of bad taste, put it mildly. For many, many people, if they were to tell their friend, yes, I'm becoming a Christian, they would probably discourage them or in some way disparage them. It's different. I'm becoming a Buddhist. Oh, that's cool. Becoming a Hindu, that's cool. And becoming Muslim, that's cool, but maybe not so much. But you know what I mean? Because they're different. They're almost exotic or far away. But in this country, for various reasons, the word Christian and Christianity is basically ridiculed, and it's discouraged. Say, oh yeah, but we're past that now. We're rational people. We don't believe in miracles anymore. We don't believe in resurrection. That's for a bygone era when they were primal, maybe primitive, naive. But we know better now because we're rational, we're intelligent, we're empirical and scientific, and we know better. So the word Christian and the Christian faith is not really in the top 10 list of, and I'm realizing, of course, that there is the more conservative right-wing Christianity in this country, which is growing, but that's not what I'm talking about. That's another story. So these two gentlemen here, Paul and Martin, Paul is to the left, Martin is in the center, are being interviewed by a woman whose name I can't remember at the moment, but she may introduce herself. And both of them have experienced a conversion to Christian faith. Martin, in the center, had been a storyteller for many years, and Paul, I can't remember what he did, he'll tell you in his introduction. But both of them, the common factor is, they both experienced the conversion to Christian faith unexpectedly and unwanted. And that's what I found interesting. And their understanding of Christ is as someone who is wild and to be found in wilderness. Not just geographic landscape wilderness, but interior wilderness as well. And I'll talk a little bit about that. So, I think that's enough introduction. If you could start in the very beginning, looks like it's in there already. The interviewer is well-intentioned, but she takes a long time to ask the questions.
Very, very warm welcome to Paul and Martin. It's just such delight and an honor to welcome you here at St. Albertus. To have this conversation about seeking God in wild places and seeking Christ in wild places. And how to say, as I was reflecting or looking forward to this event and wondering about what questions that I might ask you, popped up in my newsfeed. Ayaan Hirsi Ali published a piece in Unheard recently, Why I Am Christian. And I feel like Christianity is kind of having a moment, and this experience of the sort of Christian reveal moment is very unexpected figures that are suddenly cropping up in different parts of the culture. Seems to be a bit of it's a thing. And reading her article really reminded me of how surprised that I had felt for, what at first when I read Paul's work, about his Christian conversion, and then later on yours, Martin, how I felt it was applied, and then very shortly after that, actually not that surprised. So I think it's really interesting to be having a conversation about
Sean, could you
Christian
fast
conversion
forward a little bit?
and
She talks about
experiencing Christianity through fresh eyes at a moment where there's this bigger, almost as if you're reading an inner wilderness on the page, that excitement that I feel when I read your work. And so my question to you is the question of the evening, where did you meet God in a wild place? Where did you meet your Christian faith in a wild place? And was that wilderness, was it a landscape? Because I know that landscape is very important to you, or was that wilderness a blank page?
I love that idea of an inner landscape. So it's very difficult for somebody who has been a writer for his whole life to explain why he writes, actually, or what was actually happening. I suppose the only reason to write for me is exploration. I'm trying to work out what's going on, and I'm a person. I don't know if this is because I'm a modern person or whether it's just my own psychological flaws. I'm somebody who's always felt homeless, in the sense of not knowing what my place is in the world, not quite knowing what the world is, and I wasn't always conscious of this at all. I don't think I felt like it as a child particularly, although we did move home a lot, so maybe that's some sort of root cause, but I've always felt like there's something extremely wrong with the world and I don't fit into it. And like I say, it may just be my problem, but I think it's bigger than that. I think that we've created this very, very inhuman thing that we're living in, that I've taken to calling the machine, which is a word I've borrowed from many other writers down the years who've tried to find some way of explaining that we've created this system that seems to dehumanize us. And what it does, I think, is it cuts us off from our human nature and from wild nature. And I think, if I look back at this attempt to a career that I've had, in which I've surprised myself as well, I've been fumbling around looking for home. So all of the things that we talked about here, my early activism, I was an environmental activist as a young man, trying to save the wild world that I felt very attached to from being destroyed. And then I was looking into, that drove me into discussions about culture, what does it mean to be English in England, what is local culture, why does that all seem to be being homogenized and corporatized and destroyed, not just here but around the world. What's actually being lost? That's a question of meaning. What does it mean to be a human life? What relationship should we have to our culture? What relationship should we have to nature? I spent enough time with traditional peoples and read enough and interviewed enough people and written enough books to know that I think nature and culture are intimately intertwined. And we managed to create a system which alienates us, I think, from both of them, whilst giving us, for some of us anyway, great material benefits. And so there was a sense of homelessness that I think has always driven me on. And if you dig into these questions for long enough, you realise that once you've dug down through politics and economics and culture and etc., then down at the bottom is the spiritual question of what is a human being, what is the world, what is life. And then you start to think about God, you start to think about the spiritual questions, and you find that you can't not explore them. And for me, that led to really 10 years of dipping into a lot of different spiritual traditions. Now, unlike Martin, I didn't grow up with a sort of Christian background, so I had to sort of work it out myself. And when I was looking for spiritual truth, obviously the last place I wanted to go was the church, because we all knew that was nothing. In my generation, it didn't even occur to me to go and ask the priest about anything, funnily enough. There's something very strange about England in that regard, certainly if you come from my background, that Christianity is almost an embarrassment. It's not something you go to look for the truth. And so I went to Buddhism first, because that's easy for Western people. We sort of go east because the baggage isn't there. And I went and I practiced Buddhism for 5 or 6 years, and I got a lot from it. You learn a lot about the nature of the self in Buddhism, but you don't learn anything about God, because that's not what it's for. And so I think I became more and more aware of the fact that I wanted to worship. I had a sense of God, but I didn't want to use that word. So I went looking for a religion that I thought would give me a sense of connection to nature, because I've always been a nature lover. So I ended up in Wicca, modern witchcraft, which is sort of playing around in the woods with strange gods and magic circles and things, and that wasn't it either. Something was missing, and all the time I felt like I was being, it's very difficult to describe it in retrospect, but I felt like I was being hunted. I felt like something was coming for me all the time. This great thing that I didn't want to see was approaching me. C.S. Lewis wrote about this very famously. He talked about the approach of the one who I so deeply wanted not to see. And you can feel it. So I felt like I was being hunted by something that didn't want to kill me, that didn't want to transform me all the time. And then I eventually, I think I issued a prayer, and I said to God, if you exist at all, show me what the truth is, because I'm 45 and I've been everywhere. I still haven't worked the world out or myself at all, but I think you might be real, so what do I do about that? And what I discovered is that if you pray, your prayers get answered, which is terrifying. It's really terrifying because they don't always get answered in the way you think they're going to. And then, to cut a long story short, I was having dreams, I was having visions, I was meeting people, I was reading things. Far too many things were happening to be a series of coincidences, and all of those things were Christian. And I thought to myself, when I said, I thought, God, when I said, show me the truth, I didn't want to see that one. Not the Christian one. I don't want to be a Christian, obviously, because I don't like Christians or Christianity, so please don't show me that. Show me another one that I like better. That will be less socially embarrassing, you know? Because you're trying to be a Buddhist, no one raises an eyebrow, but try telling people you're a Christian is a different story. But there it is, that's what happened. And I think, for me, the wild aspect of it was that where I found this notion of Christ as a wild figure was coming to me all the time. There's something deeply uncivilized about faith, and the more I looked into Christianity, the more I realized that the quite spiritual, the quite civilized story I thought it was telling was not the story it was telling. And so, really, the last 4 or 5 years for me have just been deeply diving down into this great thing that Christianity represents. And obviously that dive never actually ends. But there is something deeply wild and frightening and also wonderful and welcoming about the Christian faith. And it's an incredible spiritual path which I was not aware even existed, particularly until I became an Orthodox Christian and saw the very old version of that faith. And I thought to myself, this isn't what I thought it was. And really, that's where I've ended up. And I'm still dropping into that great depth of things. There's a great story about Saint Sophrony, who was a Russian monk who founded the monastery of St. John the Baptist in Essex, England's first Orthodox monastery. And he was a monk on Mount Athos, and he was a great spiritual teacher. He was about 75 years old. He'd been doing this all his life. And he had a conversation with a young Christian who'd just become Orthodox, and he was very excited. He'd just been baptized, and he came to Saint Sophrony and he said, Elder, I've just become Orthodox. Very excited. And Sophrony said to him, well, that's very nice for you. He said, I'm still hoping to become Orthodox one day. And that's exactly how it feels, actually. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, you're still growing. So that's what's happening, and there's something utterly unexpected, but some inner explosion that's happening, that's revealing the world into a different pattern. It's very difficult to explain, but you know it when it's happening. I don't know if that answers your question at all, but I'm going to attempt to.
I'd like to come back to that theme of Christianity is a deeply uncivilized faith, or uncivilizing, or Christ was uncivilized. I'd like to come back to that in a minute, because I think that's fascinating. So Martin, I'd like to put a similar question to you. I'm listening to Bard Skull at the moment on Audible, which I would very highly recommend everybody read Bard Skull, which you should do because it's amazing. But listen to it on Audible because you can hear Martin reading it. And at the beginning of the book, you talk a bit about language and words as incantation, as spell casting, and I actually really do feel that listening to you reading the work, that there's something incantatory about it. And when I first knew of your work, I didn't know of you as a writer at that time. I knew you as a storyteller and someone who worked with initiation and initiation ceremonies, and I know that that's going to be part of the work. And I feel like that's such an important quality in your voice as well, and how you write. And so I guess my question to you would be, the question would be really, where did you meet God in a wild place? Where did you meet Christ in a wild place? Was that an initiatory experience? And do you see